Hey, what's up everybody? This is Marcus from the Weekly Spot, back again with another video, and today I'm going to do a movie review of the Thunderbolts.
Don't worry, she's bulletproof. What happened to bulletproof? It's bulletproof-ish.
Is that Bucky?
That's not good.
So in this movie we have Yelena Belova, who has been working for Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, and lately she's been feeling lost and depressed and growing tired of the kind of work that she's been doing, and it feels like it's time for a change. She feels like she could be doing something, something different, something more. So she calls Valentina about it, and she tells her that if you do this one last job, I'll find something different for you to do. So her mission is to take out a rogue operative, Ava Starr, aka Ghost, and she follows her in some kind of vault, and as she's following her, all of a sudden, it becomes a battle royale as John Walker, aka U.S. Agent, and Antonia Dragoff, aka Taskmaster, who are also working for Valentina, show up, and now all four of them are fighting each other. But then they soon realize that the whole thing was actually a setup to get them all killed. And in the midst of all that, this guy named Bob just pops up out of nowhere with his memory being a little fuzzy of what's going on. So now they all must work together as a team to get out of this death trap that Valentina has set up for them. So when it comes to the comics, the Thunderbolts was a team that I've heard of by name, but I didn't really know the story at the time, so I didn't really have any expectations for this. I mean, I was going to see it anyways because it's brought back characters that I like, and plus I was impressed by the trailers, and I gotta say, after watching this has become one of my favorite movies of the MCU. So I'm going to start by going through some of these characters, starting with Yelena Belova, played by Florence Pugh, the sister of Natasha Romanoff, aka Black Widow. And ever since her first appearance in the Black Widow movie, she's been like a great character and has become one of my favorites in the MCU. And I think the actress, does a great job of playing this character as, funny, charismatic, and just being a badass. And in here, I think she does another great performance, showing a side to the character that makes her relatable due to, this emptiness, grief, and depression that she feels is, eating her up inside. And it makes it all more powerful when she realize how to overcome these mental struggles that she's been having. The next character is Alexei Shostakov, aka Red Guardian, played by David Harbour. Alexei is a washed-up super soldier who's pretty much Russia's version of Captain America, and when we were introduced to him in the Black Widow movie, the guy is a goofball who seems to have like a complicated history, and here he has started a limo service offering rides for business trips, school pickups, funerals, and whatever, and we see that he's unsatisfied with his life. He's missing his glory days, and he also wants to be more connected with Yelena. Like the guy's kind of going through it as well, and he is so the character is so over the top, but in the best way possible, in my opinion. Like he's such a fun character, and though he is silly, like he is pretty much the comedic relief of the team. I don't think that's that's not all that he is, as he does have some serious and emotional moments as well, and I think the actor gives a great performance here. Next is Bucky Barnes, played by Sebastian Stan, who started off on Captain America: The First Avenger, so he's been around since like the beginning. Like he's one of the OG characters of the MCU. He was introduced as the best friend of Steve Rogers, then he was captured by Hydra and was experimented on and brainwashed into becoming the Winter Soldier, spending years working for them, and following that, he's been trying to make amends ever since, and here we see that he has become a congressman, and apparently not a good one. I mean, he's doing this with the best intentions. He means well, but you can tell that he's just out of his element. Like the job is just not the same as what he's done before. But it's crazy seeing where he's at now and looking back to where he was before. Like this character has had definitely one hell of a journey, and it's great to see more of him. Like I think he's a pretty cool character. And speaking of seeing more of, we get the return of Ava Starr, aka Ghost, who was first introduced as the villain in the second Ant-Man movie, Ant-Man and the Wasp, played by Hannah John Kamen. And that was actually the last time we've seen that character, and that movie came out in 2018. But anyways, the story with her was that she was actually recruited into SHIELD as an assassin, but went rogue after learning that they had no intention of helping her, because at the time her powers were actually hurting her. But now she's working for a Valentina. And Ghost, I thought, was a pretty cool villain, man. You know, I like her powers, and as you learned about her backstory in Ant-Man and the Wasp, you realize that she's really a tragic character, and that you can't help, or at least for me, feel bad for her. And I just think that it's cool that they, you know, brought her back and didn't just completely forget about her. And for the last two, we have Antonia Dreykov, aka Taskmaster, played by Olga Kurylenko. She was the villain first introduced in the Black Widow movie. She was an agent of the Red Room, which was the same program that trained Yelena into being an assassin and brainwashed into working for them. And now she's working as an assassin for Valentina. And a Taskmaster, you know, when it came to the action scenes in Black Widow, I thought were pretty cool. But besides that, you know, there wasn't, you know, I thought the character was a little underwhelming. And here, I mean, there's not really much to say. I mean, she was in a pretty cool action scene. But besides that, my opinion of the character is still the same. Like, they didn't really do much with her. And finally, we have John Walker, aka U.S. Agent, played by Wyatt Russell. Now, John Walker, who was first introduced in the Falcon and Winter Soldier, was a soldier that was chosen to be the new Captain America when Sam turned down the mantle. But when John was stripped of the title, he started working for Valentina as U.S. Agent. Now this is a character that a lot of people, including myself, has hated right off the gate, simply because Sam was supposed to be, you know, Captain America. And for me personally, thinking about it and watching the show again, though he definitely wasn't fit for the mantle of Captain America, I actually was starting to, you know, like John Walker and kind of felt bad for him, even though he also does come off as a douchebag in some moments. Like don't get me wrong, and guess what, in this movie he's still a douchebag. Like, the guy hasn't really changed as far as I can tell, but the guy is funny though. And there are moments where like people are like just roasting this man, you know, calling him like the off-brand Captain America, and while those moments are hilarious, I again, you know, can't help but feel bad for the guy, because it is true. But anyways, this movie really made me like the character more. And that is it for everybody in this team. Now, when it comes to characters outside of the team, there is Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Now, this character has made her first appearance in the Falcon and Winter Soldier, and she made a couple more appearances after that. And here I would say that she had a much bigger role here. And Valentina is sort of like a Nick Fury. You know, she's the government official who recruits extraordinary people. But the difference between the two is that she seems to be all about power, and the people that she recruits she uses for selfish reasons. She's one of those characters that you love and hate at the same time, because she's quite funny. Like, I love her interactions with everyone. You know, she's someone that when you meet her, she may come off as friendly and charming, and she may be on the side of good, but there is some evidence of villainy, because really she's so snarky and she's shown to be so untrustworthy. Like, I wouldn't go as far to say that she's an all-out villain, but she's definitely on the category of anti-hero for sure. And not to, you know, give away what happened, but there is a flashback scene that I thought was nice in a way that it adds more to her character, and it gives us an idea of why she is the way she is. And then there is Bob, aka the Sentry, played by Louis Pullman. Now, in the beginning, when you meet him, he seems, you know, kind and, you know, chill and nervous, a little awkward. And at first, he was like a mystery, because obviously there's more to him. There's something up with him, and we don't really know who he is, where he came from. We don't know his involvement in whatever's going on. But as the movie goes on and you learn more about him, you really feel bad for this guy. Like, as you find out that he's really a deeply troubled person trying to seek a connection and redemption. And I feel like this movie, you know, gave a great, you know, introduction to such a good and, you know, relatable character. And when he becomes the Sentry, now in the comics there are a lot of overpowered characters. Some of them are already in the MCU, but they don't seem to be as powerful as their comic book counterparts. And the Sentry is one of those characters in the comics. Now, I don't know a lot about the Sentry, but from what little that I do know, I think that this movie does a good job of showcasing his powers and abilities. Like, the guy, you know, was a Avengers level threat. Like, that's how much of a problem he was. Like, and he was kind of terrifying. And you would think like how could a team like the Thunderbolts fight somebody like Sentry? Like how do you even beat somebody like that? And I thought it was pretty cool how they did it, you know. And I feel like, you know, it was well executed and it made sense in the context of the story. I do like the look of the movie. It has like a grounded, grittier look to it. I thought the action was pretty good. I thought this movie had, you know, a solid soundtrack, a solid story with themes centering on mental health, trauma, loneliness, redemption, found family, and finding a purpose. And I like the chemistry between the team. Like here it's like a dysfunctional team of broken individuals who clash, but ultimately they bond over shared trauma, which creates a compelling mix of reluctant teamwork, dark humor, and emotional depth. And now if I had like any negatives, it really is just one, and is that when it comes to like the character development of the team, I do feel like that there are some characters that have more of the spotlight than others, and I do wish this movie would have gave us, you know, some more time with some of the other characters, but that's really it. And one last thing that I do want to bring up before I end this review is that one of the things, you know, about the MCU that people have been talking about lately, and I have brought this up before, is that some of these projects have been, you know, too jokey, which I do agree that, you know, depending on the project, that they should, you know, tone that down a bit. But this movie, I think they did a good job when it comes to the tone, because while there are some funny moments, for the most part this is a pretty serious movie that I would say kind of got emotional some parts. Like this movie, I think, does a good job of balancing the seriousness and the humor. Now, like I said before, when it comes to the negatives, I do feel like this movie didn't spend, you know, enough time with some of the characters when it comes to, like, you know, character development. But overall, I think this was a well-made movie. Good characters, great cast, great performances from everybody, good action, a solid story, solid soundtrack. And I do hope that we get like a sequel of some sorts. I mean, I know these characters are going to come back in the Avengers Doomsday, but I do hope that we get like a Thunderbolts sequel. And maybe it's just me, but I also feel like these characters deserve their own spin-off. Well, at least some of them, I'm not gonna lie. But anyways, I will give Thunderbolts a 4.5 out of 5.
That's why they need each other.
We can't stop him alone. No one can. But we can find a way. Together.
Marvel Studios' Thunderbolts.
And that's it for my review for Thunderbolts, and let me know what you think of the movie. This is Marcus from the Weekly Spot. More content will be coming out soon, but until then, take care, everyone.